Yeah, everyone, this is Thermite, and this is my discussion for Dragon Ball Super Superhero. If you want the actual reaction, first link down below in the description, please check it out. It's free, it's just a redirect, because I don't want my channel to be taken down. But I do have an actual discussion here as well. First of all, like, I'll go through this kind of chronologically, but I feel like the first thing I've got to talk about is just, the animation. Like, I'll bring it up throughout, I suppose, but just, it's so good. Truly unbelievably good animation. And I do like the conceit of having the flashbacks be, like, more traditionally animated. Like, there's some bits where, like, like when we see original Cell, like, very clearly, that bit was, like, CGI, but, like, done to be way more 2D-esque. Whereas, like, the main movie itself is, like, I wouldn't say it's not trying to be 2D, but, like, the stylization is really, really interestingly done. I do think that actually does create this feeling of, like, 3D being the future, whereas the traditional animated stuff doesn't feel out of place because it is, because you remember, like, watching the episodes originally and them being 2D. I mean, I imagine it's also just a good way to not have to make that many assets, and then to allow them to, put all their energy into the assets they're actually going to be throughout the entire movie, as opposed to, like, one-offs just for the very start. Because, yeah, I guess that's why they, did Cell in 3D, because they already had, like, they were already doing Cell Max, and so they would have just had to, like, change it a little bit. But maybe not, who knows? But, yeah, like, all of that, fantastic. I could not stop being blown away by just every effect they tried to do. I think they absolutely nailed. There was, like, one thing I could think of. I can't even remember what it was. There was just, like, one moment when I was watching the movie where I had the reaction of, like, I don't know if that looks great. But I can only remember one time. Now, talking about the, like, assets of the movie itself, I love that we did a recap specifically of the Red Ribbon Army and of, like, the android side of things, the, like, Dr. Gero and Cell of it all. I'm a sucker for any series where you can do something like that. Like, where instead of recapping the entire series, or, like, an entire season or something, it is a specific, let's take this one plot thread and follow it all the way up here. I think that was very, very smoothly done here, because it's very easy to forget that, right, the Red Ribbon Army have been around for so long. Like, they're not the very start of Dragon Ball, but they're pretty darn close. Like, once we stop dealing with, like, Pilaf as, like, the big bad, the Red Ribbon Army slides in pretty, quickly as a, like, the big, dangerous organization. And, like, we really have not touched on them for ages. Like, they show up once in original Dragon Ball, and then once indirectly in Z with, Dr. Gero, and then once now in Super, really. Like, not counting, like, the androids, of course. Like, I really appreciate the line that the story walks between making enough sense while also being insane. I can't get over, actually, like, the comedic sense of this movie. It's so funny. It feels like every minute there's at least a minor gag. And, like, I wouldn't expect that from every Dragon Ball thing. In fact, it's been a long time, like, outside of, like, like, filler arcs like Arale, for instance, where we've had something that was this consistently funny and this consistently compelling. Yeah, love Magenta, love Carmine over here. That initial gag with Carmine, just, like, I guess not initial, but, like, the subsequent arc where he's, like, just bending himself entirely over in order to, like, serve Magenta. It's so well done. All of the gags in this movie, like, feel super well crafted. Like, even more so than traditional Toriyama gags. These all felt so distinct, so unique, so, like, just immediately so, like, it enhances all of their characters so much. And their designs all look really good, and, like, they're not alien designs, so it adds this extra layer of, like, of absurdity. It's easy to forget how insane the world, the Earth of Dragon Ball is. Like, the sheer weirdness of Earthlings and of, like, their structures and their technology and all that. Like, yeah, I'm really glad this was not another, like, alien story. I am really glad that this was a big flex of, like, here is a human threat that is just insane in its own right. Also, I think Android 21 shows some in Fighters. This is definitely, like, I don't actually know her backstory. I've never actually played Fighters. But so this was a bit of a jump scare. Like, the fact that she is Dr. Giro's wife. And also, like, of course, official confirmation that that Android 16 is, in fact, based directly on, like, Dr. Giro's child. Like, we knew that, but it's different. It's different when you actually see it in a movie. But yeah, I do also, like, I appreciate the amount of detail we went into his relation specifically. It's like, we already, have some layer of sympathy for Hedo based on the fact that, he's descended from the person who, like, 16 is either based on or is, depending on how you, like, on how that exactly worked. Like, the androids are all, like, designed, like, they are, like, the basis for them, I believe, is a human being, except for Cell, who is, like, unique down to every last cell. But, like, having it be, like, like, Hedo is a descendant of that child, and also having this layer of, like, his parents died, and his parents did not like Dr. Gero. It is, like, there are multiple layers of, he is insulated from the pure evil that was Dr. Gero. And you can still see, like, bits of both in him. Like, he does have a bit of that self-centered evil mad scientist in him, but he also has this, like, desire to be a good person, and in fact to be a superhero, and he likes that aesthetic. I think that's such an interesting combination for him. I'm really glad that seems like he's going to stick around as a character. Like, it's just, it's such a fun combo. And having him around also opens up tons of possibilities for, like, new android characters to be added into the world, or, like, if we do anything with the 7-9s, or I forget what they're actually called, but, the androids from, from the manga. Like, we could do something there as well. There's a lot to dig into. Oh yeah, I forgot about his, like, Frankenstein-ass androids. I also do like this, because we do, like, I remember Ader from original Dragon Ball. Like, I do appreciate there being this, like, layered thing of, like, a basic android, as Dragon Ball defines an android, or, like, a Kaizo Ningen, is, like, basically you just take a corpse and you kind of return it back to life. It's pretty rough. I mean, these guys look even worse than Ader did. Like, Ader, he could pass for a normal person. These guys cannot pass for normal people, even though they did apparently, like, work this job just fine. But, like, you've got that, then you've got, like, 16, I feel like, is the latest android that we've seen that feels very, like, robotic. Like, he's robotic in the way he talks, he's robotic in, like, the way he looks. You scratch him a little bit, he's very clearly robotic. Whereas, like, 17 and 18... I don't yeah, like, they have tons of, like, mechanical stuff, but they also seem way more human, way more just like humanoid with, like, small things that are changing them. Like, they've got, like, an organ with infinite energy or something in them. And yeah, and then after that point, like, then we get, like, more and more sophisticated until we get the Gammas here, and, like, the Gammas are so I love them. Now, I kind of did forget about, like, at the end, like, Hedo wanting to, like, turn himself in, and the fact that he did cause this giant explosion. But also, I have no real love for the prison system, fair enough. Yeah, I was not expecting this movie to be so Piccolo and Pan focused. Like, there's not that much Pan focus, to be fair. Like, she just gets a lot of screen time, whereas, like, there's so much Piccolo focus. Like, I definitely thought this was a Gohan movie, going into it. And Gohan does get a big transformation at the end. And, like, a big part of the movie is, like, it is literally about Gohan, like, surpassing his limits, breaking his limits and evolving into, like, some sort of new form that I don't think we got named or anything. It was just like, hey, you can do this now. But, like, the heart and soul of the movie was Piccolo. Like, seeing him do his, like, special ops mission, seeing how he feels about Gohan, seeing how he's, like, once again training another, like, member of the Sun lineage, how he is basically just, like, another parent to Pan, and arguably a better parent. Like, I'm sure Gohan loves his daughter, like, there's no doubt about that. But, he's spending, like, he can't stop researching to come outside and pick up his daughter from daycare, or from a kindergarten, rather. Like, that's insane to me. Though I can't hate him too much about that. Like, I do think this makes him like, it makes his parenting pretty rough, but I can also, I do like that in a sense for making him feel closer to Goku, like in my eyes. He definitely feels more Goku-esque to me. Like, it's just that instead of being like a nut focused on fighting, like he has become what Chi-Chi wanted him to be. Like, he is a scholar. He is very interested in like transformations and like insects and whatnot. It does, like, if Dragon Ball Online is legit, he's probably going to end up writing a book that allows anyone to be a like anyone to like learn how to use ki without having to like undergo years and years and years of training. So much of this movie, I think, is just the magic of making things click into place or canonizing things that, may have been said before or may have been like very obvious, but which, were not like direct obvious in, like in a movie, in a TV show episode canon. I think that is what makes this movie feel so good. I could definitely see someone saying it's like more fan fiction-y than an official movie should be or something, but I really, really like that. Like, there's so much to the world of Dragon Ball that is very hard to cover in a traditional Dragon Ball arc. And so it was really, really nice to like take a break from like the traditional grinds and like see all this smaller stuff and to just sort of see how beautiful the world is, to really explore it and drink it in. And also just like anytime we see Pan move, I brought it up, I think every time she moved around, it's kind of like if you've seen like Nazca or, like other Ghibli movies, the way that Ghibli like handles kids moving about is unlike anything else. And I don't think Pan was quite there in this movie, but it's close in terms of like that naturalistic feeling, that feeling of like an actual kid like stumbling a little bit or like moving around in a way that just is using too much energy, of like having wasteful movements, having like this joy that permeates her body, and just like the way in which she bounces around, the way in which she like twitches a little bit when she's a little bored, or the way in which like you can tell immediately when she is feeling an emotion. Like, she looks, just everything about her is so fun to watch, and she's such a great like contrast to Piccolo, who is of course way more stoic, but even that also increases the contrast whenever he does do something goofy. Like just the character acting in this movie was so fantastic. Because I would also give that to like Carmine and to Magenta, like even Hedo, like any character where we were supposed to get a lot of their emotionality, and like it was great. Even Gohan, like, Gohan had less time to shine, but I do think, like, the progression of him, like, being very rusty and, just very, like, not interested in what's going on, to then being very angry, being invested, and then, to finally, like, surpassing his limits. And, like, all of that, I think, was handled very well on a, like, tiny, animation level. Like, just in general, it's such a spectacular looking movie. The animation is great. The art direction is great. Like, those are two different things. But yeah, like, any still from here, like, you can still tell that it's CG if you're really focusing on it. But I think also, like, I think Dragon Ball, more so than most other series, has, been given, like, a, like, sort of flat cel-shaded CGI treatment so well and so often in video games. And so I think that's also part of why, like, it doesn't feel weird to me. Like, if I were watching, like, a Bleach movie that was all in CG, I feel like it would immediately stand out to me. It would immediately feel weird, even if they did handle it very well. Whereas, like, just any animation going on just looks so good. And, there's a little bit of that, like if you're watching like a cutscene in a video game, there's usually not like much of a stutter to it. Whereas when it comes to like CGI TV shows and CGI movies, there tends to be way more of a like stutter. There's way more of, I suppose, an attempt to like to restrain certain scenes to like 8 like unique frames per second or 16, as opposed to like having every frame be its own thing. And that's also not necessarily good in every single shot. Like, I can understand wanting to create that contrast, so when things are extremely fluid, you understand, like, oh, that's really fluid, instead of everything feeling, like, very fluid and very, like, almost video gamey after a point. Like, something I thought they did really well was, like, these kinds of scenes, like, just Piccolo FaceTiming people. Like, in addition to it, like, seeing the girls FaceTime him contrasted with how he tries to FaceTime people, that in itself was very good character stuff. But also, like, the way in which the phone is swaying a little, like the way, like, Piccolo's holding the phone, not in this shot, but, like, in, like, when he's, like, in the Red Ribbon Army base, like, his hand is moving a little bit, and also, like, Boma's hand is moving a little bit, so, like, the frame of the screen's moving, and also she's, like, moving around as she's talking, and it doesn't make me feel queasy or anything. It just feels very naturalistic. I think that's actually really clever. Or, like, not clever, but just, like, really well done. It'd be very easy to do it badly. I'm super impressed by that. I don't think I said it out loud during the movie, but, like, Piccolo's throne is also just very funny to think of. Like, I'm glad we got to see his house. I'm sure we've seen it at some point, like, canonically, but I don't remember it. But yeah, like, seeing where he actually lives, seeing, like, a little of what he does on his downtime. Like, we had truly more Piccolo in this movie than I feel like we had in all of Super. Like, up until this point, like, oh my god. Oh yeah, the Super Saiyan ants. I do find it very funny that, like, the Gohan does love transformations, it seems like. Like, animals that change, that he likes, bugs in particular, but, like, it definitely ties into his big transformation at the end of the movie. But, like, I also just like it as, like, a thing he is very into. He's just into insects. He's just into, like, this kind of thing. I guess I'll actually address Gohan here right now. Like, if I jump to the end, let me get a shot of him. Yeah, I don't dislike the form, and I don't, like, dislike what we were doing here, like, in terms of just, like, the basic script. But I do feel like my least favorite part of the movie is honestly, like, the Gohan parts of the climax. Like, it feels very forced in, to a point where, like, that is literally what is happening in the movie. Like, so much of the movie is Piccolo forcing Gohan to, get back in the saddle. Which, it just, feels a little clunky, considering that, Gohan's whole arc is really that he doesn't want to do this. Like, he has the potential, and I understand, the desire to, like, see him not waste his potential, to get strong for when things go wrong, for when Goku can't be here. I think the original Cell arc handled this really well. Like, he has this power, but also, if he's not suited to it, if he doesn't want to do it, it feels a little weird to, like, to push him back into it. And, like, having him find this new form while he's fighting just bigger Cell, and the bigger Cell's not that interesting even. It felt a little rehashy. Like, I would say that is my biggest complaint about the entire movie, which is why I want to, like, get it out of the way right here while I have an opportunity. Because, like, apart from that, I think it's fine. Like, I like a lot of what's going on. I do love, like, the animation for him fighting is fantastic. The fact that he did a little, a special beam cannon to honor Piccolo, beautiful, love it. I'm sad we didn't get, like, a father-son Makon Sampo, but, it can't be perfect. I do also actually like this, for having more of an evil vibe to it, which also definitely fits, like, the vibe we've had around Gohan. The idea that he is, like, that he has the potential to be scarier than Goku. That Goku as a kid was fun in an overpowered way, whereas Gohan was, like, unpredictable and a little scary in a, like, overpowered way. The idea that, like, his first Super Saiyan 2 transformation had a lot of, like, cruelty to it. This transformation also had, like, some cruelty to it. That his colors are very, like, villain coded. That he was, trained by Piccolo even. But, like, it doesn't really land for me, Like, it's all cool. It's inherently very cool. I'm not gonna say it's not, but it's cool in, like, almost a Super Dragon Ball Heroes way, where, like, I haven't, like, caught up with that. But, I know there's, like, a Super Saiyan God, like, Future Trunks in there, and I think that's a cool idea. But, just knowing that it exists does not make me, like, super attached to it. Whereas Piccolo's arc in this movie, I am very attached to. Like, yeah, if we were going to do a big climax with Gohan, I wish we just had a better plot with Gohan overall. Like, I think I wouldn't trade this Piccolo plot for a better Gohan plot, because, like, Piccolo's also, he can have better plots. I doubt we're gonna get another Piccolo focus this powerful and this, like, direct, this actually focused on him ever again, really. Like, I'm sure he'll show up again and whatnot, but, this was basically a Piccolo movie, and I doubt we're ever gonna get a Piccolo movie again, so I'm very happy to have it for what it is. It's just, like, by virtue of that, I wasn't a big fan of the Gohan movie parts of this. It was just fine. Going back to Piccolo, actually. Oh, I do love Orange Piccolo. Yeah, if you're just watching the discussion for some reason, you didn't watch the actual reaction, I did get spoiled on Orange Piccolo before I saw the movie. Like, all I knew about the movie was, it was going to be in CG. I thought it was going to be, like, way more Gohan-focused than it was, like, Goku-Vegeta-focused, which was true. But, just barely. And I knew about the existence of Orange Piccolo. Someone showed me some, like, Orange Piccolo fan art, and they talked to me, like, in a very clear, like, oh, you know about Orange Piccolo already. So it was something where I couldn't really stop it before I'd already heard the words. But I gotta say, despite the lame name, I do think Orange Piccolo is really cool. The only thing I'm really not a fan of is this. Like, Lime Piccolo. The idea that, like, when he's fighting, like, when he's getting ready to fight, or, while he's, like, I appreciate that his base form is still properly green, but I don't understand the purpose of him, like, becoming a greenish yellow. I guess the idea is that the orange is, like, it's tied into his power, I suppose. And, like, I appreciate that orange is, like a color we don't really have connected to anyone else. So, yeah, I mean, we have it with Goku, actually. What am I saying? We have it with Goku! But, like, with the gi, and same with, like, Krillin and whatnot. Not now that Krillin's always wearing his, like, cop uniform. But, yeah, like, in terms of, like, skin, like, it is very different looking. And, like, his ki now seems to be orange. And, like, it does work really, really well with his purple as well. But, yeah, I'm just... in the same way that, like, we'll, like, do a light retcon to some things, I'm really hoping we light retcon, like, greenish-yellow Piccolo. He just looks sick. He doesn't look cool like this. I think, like, him being green looks really good. It really does. I would much rather him, like, be green and then have, like, an orange aura around him to indicate that, like, he's tapping into his orange power. Oh, I wanted to rewatch this for a second. So, yeah. Because, yeah, like, even this... to be fair, actually, no. I see what's happening. In the movie itself, I posited that the sound effect was, like, when he does something really cool, or, like, when the Gammas do something really cool, they're also, like, projecting a hologram of a sound effect. But no, I see. It's, like, he simply recorded the explosion, and the explosion had the sound effect there, so the sound effect was recorded along with the explosion. That's actually a much better gag than just he projects a sound effect, especially since we didn't really do that in the climax. Also, I can't get over the comedy of Piccolo running out, going to make a wish, or, like, going out to go get Senzu beans, then stopping by Dende, saying, like, hey, I need a power-up, can you, like, awaken my powers? Dende going, wait, hold on just a second, let me just change the way Shenron works so that it will work. Boop, okay, done. Now go to Boma and make a wish. And then he goes to Boma and then makes a wish, gets the power up, and then runs back here. And they're still having the same conversation. Like, when the comedy hits, it hits. And also just, like, little things like, here, like, acknowledging the existence of Demon King Piccolo, or, like, when Shenron, is, summoned forth, him immediately looking at Piccolo and, like, recognizing him as a god. Like, there's so much there that I just absolutely adore. Oh, yeah, this as well. Honestly, we could have missed it. We didn't need this. I do appreciate having a little, a little cutaway. I appreciate seeing Broly again, and, like, seeing Chilai, and seeing, oh, fuck, what is his name again? The other one? Like, I'm very happy to know where they are. This also does reference Broly directly, something I mentioned recently as a, like, it's interesting that the manga does not ever, like, apart from the one page that is just straight up like, hey, go watch the Broly movie. Broly's canon. Broly happened here. Like, it's the only thing the manga has never covered. And so I'm hoping with, with the adaptation of this arc, that we'll be able to see Broly again. It'll be a very clear, like, yeah, guess what, he is canon. You can't read it in manga form, but go watch the movie. Yeah, it's nice to see him again. It's nice also, this is like, it's so wholesome. It isn't a like, oh, everyone's in danger, let's go pull Broly out of like his happy time. It is a very clear, like, no, they're just chilling. They're in fact training. Broly is getting his berserk form under control. Something that even, Kale hasn't done yet, right? Or she was able to pull back. Right. Kale pulls back in the turn to power, and then they fuse together into Kefla. So yeah, Broly's got some work to do. But yeah, like, this whole scene did hit me really well. Like, also this, like, specifically explaining why the fuck I should care about Jiren. As someone who loves a lot of Dragon Ball, including a lot of, the things it just kind of does, and, like, its weird little quirks and whatnot, Jiren is truly the only villain in the entire series I have not liked. And not in a I hate him way, or in a, like, he's repulsive way. Just in a, like, straight up, what the fuck is he? What's his deal? What makes him interesting? Like, like, comparing him to Hit. Like, Hit is also quiet, bald guy who is unbelievably powerful. But, like, within that first fight with Hit, you understand his deal, and he has a character to him. And, like, it's not that that Jiren doesn't have a character to him. Like, his character is that he has that, like, that he's always meditating, that he is extremely powerful, that he is, like, conserving his energy until it's absolutely needed. And then, like, once they start really pushing him, then he starts to lose his cool, then he freaks out, then he's willing to, like, try and kill bystanders in order to, like, to maintain his sense of justice and in order to defeat his enemies. Like, there's something there, but it's so little compared to, like, most characters. Like, if Hit were in this movie, like a very comedy-focused movie, I could 100%, like, see a little, like, skit with him, or, like, a mini-arc. Whereas, like, even with this explanation of, like, how his fighting style is interesting and how they can use that to grow and whatnot, if Jiren happens to be here, I can't think of a skit they could do with him that would be funny and that would also, like, leverage his abilities and, like, his character in a way that would be good. Like, Piccolo also, was a very straightforward, very serious guy when he was Piccolo Jr. And then, we started to really soften him up and understand, like, okay, this is where he can come from as a comedic character, as an interesting foil to other characters. I mean, I would say he even did have that in, like, the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai. Yeah, Jiren's just such an enigma. And so I appreciate this movie for, like, doing a bit of redemption, doing a bit of explaining, like, okay, here's what makes him interesting at the very least as a fighter, if not a person. And, like, seeing Vegeta try to, embody that here was also very cool. Coming off of the manga again, where his manga thing was very much like the opposite of this, like very much giving into his urge to be the guy who rushes in and beats the crap out of the enemy and is just, like a big brawling strong guy, someone who's just lusting for battle. It was very interesting seeing him do something that is very much the opposite, something that feels way more Ultra Instinct-y almost. Like, it's interesting that, Goku didn't really pick up on this, and Goku doesn't seem very interested in it. When this idea of, like, conserving absolutely all of your energy and then suddenly hitting is, like, that does feel perfectly attuned to Ultra Instinct. And it also helps explain to me, like, how Jiren was able to, like, keep up with Omen. The idea that, like, it's not that Omen was way stronger than him. And, like, once Goku hit actual Ultra Instinct, he was, like, Jiren was really, really losing up until, like, the power, like, backlashed, like, on Goku. But, like, the idea that Jiren is, like, this close to getting to Ultra Instinct without having formal training in it. That's such an interesting idea to me. Or the idea, he's employing similar principles, but without understanding the absolute truth of those principles, if that makes any sense. I find that very fascinating. I definitely do not ship Beerus and Chihai, but I was really glad to see her around, because, like, she is already one of my favorite Dragon Ball characters. And B, I do think this is a classic, super, like, just It's a funny plotline that is also not like a Master Roshi, like super pervy to a lady plotline. Like, Beerus, for all of his faults, is pretty damn gentlemanly about all of this. And it's not even a, like, you know, he's way too nervous to do anything kind of gentlemanly. It is just this layer of, like, he's just kind of a putz. He's kind of a pushover, but, like, you know, in a way where, you know, he's not making an absolute fool of himself over her. It is just the general, like, it's very clear that he finds her very cute. As someone who does like Beerus a lot, I fully welcome this new potential love triangle, including Broly. I was never expecting if, like, you know, 10 years ago, or like whenever Battle of Gods debuted, you had told me that Beerus was going to be in a love triangle with Broly and a girl who was just, you know, a character who hasn't been introduced yet, I feel like I would have lost my mind. But it works really well. Also, I do appreciate that, that she does, like, try and steal a bunch of shit from Beerus. Like, that's not something I expected from her, but I'm really happy about it. She's got a bit of scumminess to her. She fits right in. And I mean, honestly, like, giving Lemmo, like, the idea that, you know, he is, like, a really good chef as well. You know, even if he's not, like, super formally trained, that he was just feeding the Frieza Force. Like, that's also nice. Like, for a guy I don't think about very often, I'm glad that, like, Broly's group are now, like, characters I can properly envision. Whereas before, I mean, I'll try and even remember Lemmo's name. Whereas before, like, the reason why I was so excited to see CGI is in part because she felt like the only character I could connect to, like, to Broly. Like, I remembered Lemmo existing, but, you know, I couldn't have said anything about him, really. Besides, he's not a terrible person, you know, he's a pretty good guy. That's about it. And also, to be fair, like, it's not that he's an incredibly good chef. Like, I assume he's pretty darn good. But, to be fair, Whis and Beerus are also easily impressed. They lose their minds over instant yakisoba, so this doesn't have to be that bad to knock their socks off. But yeah, like, as much as I appreciated the little spar here, it really wasn't that necessary. Like, I thought that we were going to cut away, that we weren't going to see it. And I feel like if we had cut away and then we'd kept that post-credit scene, like, I'm happy to have the post-credit scene. Like, but if we just skipped over the fight and we just devoted more of this time to the actual rest of the movie, I would have been happy with that. I appreciate, you know, being able to get a little more characterization with Broly here. I like being able to see the couches here. Like, you know, it's not bad necessarily. It's just, what we did get of the movie proper is just really damn good in its own way. But yeah, I mainly appreciate, you know, the Beerus, like, planet thing as just a way to keep the two strongest characters out of the movie so we could do stuff with everyone else. And I do hope we do get, like, another arc at some point that is like this. Whether it is a, like, you know, Goku and Vegeta can't be found again, or if it is something where it's just an outright, like, you know, something like the Galactic Space Patrol situation, where they are handling something and then we get to give everyone else way more, like, focus time as they handle what the deal on Earth, or they handle a different villain or something, or like one half of the villain that's going around for the arc. Like, there's just a lot you could do. Also, really hoping that that we don't backslide on this Gohan transformation, or like this Gohan change in attitude. Because to be fair, even in the Turn into Power, like, the whole deal before then was like, oh, you know, Gohan can barely even go into, like, you know, his awakened form. He's stuck in Super Saiyan. He's rusty. He needs to train again. Well, we can't have every time Gohan re-enters the Series be, oh, he's rusty and he needs a bunch of training. He needs more motivation. Like, let's let this be his final form, unless he wants to, like, unlock Blue or something. Oh yeah, this does remind me, right? I did think this was going to be a Great Saiyaman movie. We didn't even reference that. That's actually insane to me. Like, in the same way that at the end of Broly, Goku mentioned, you know, like, introduced himself to Broly as Kakarot. I kind of wish at some point Gohan had mentioned, oh, you're a superhero. Well, I'm something of a superhero myself. I think it's probably for the best that he didn't, as a clear, like, you know, time is passing. He did grow up. You know, that was something he was doing when he was, like, going to college. But now, like, he has changed as a person. I think that's fine. We didn't need to see the Great Saiyaman again. I'm kind of just coping. I want to see the Great Saiyaman again, but cool. But I wouldn't throw out Gamma 1 and Gamma 2. They're both really cool. They deserve to be superheroes. Yeah, just the whole vibe of this movie was so good. I think I'm out of stuff to say at this point. Like Cell Max, Gohan's whole thing I was disappointed in. Cell Max, I'm also pretty disappointed in all honesty. Like Cell Max, the entire bit I was talking about with Jiren, basically use that here. Like with Jiren, we understand a bit of what makes him appealing. With Cell Max, like there's nothing to him really besides, oh, it's Cell, but bigger and stronger. That's really it. He has really cool attacks. Like, if we can play a Cell Max in, like, one of the games, I'd be very happy to play him. Like, he's got cool abilities. I like his, his Shin Godzilla shoot from all the, all the dots attack. I like his other attacks well enough. Like, his big evil, like, what the hell was that, like, power up when he woke? His giant, I'm gonna destroy the planet attack. Like, all of those looked really cool. But, like, there's no personality to him. There's no, like, serious appeal to him. Cell was a character that I really loved because of how he grows and changes throughout that arc. Like, basically starting off like, a xenomorph or something, and then becoming more and more sophisticated until he was, like, cocky enough to do something like the Cell games. We didn't need to get to that level here, but and as much as this arc kind of copied the Cell arc a bit, I kind of wish he ate someone, at least to, like, evolve, or if it was something where it was like, oh, he doesn't need to eat anyone anymore, he'll automatically evolve as he, like, absorbs more data. One more form, I think, would have been good. Just one more form, come on, one more form. Can't believe he didn't eat anyone with this tail. And like, like all the like cool aesthetic things about him I like. I like the, the red and green I think is a really good combo. Yeah. I like it when he opens up his wings and there's like a buzz that sounds a bit like an insect buzz, but also kind of like, like heavy machinery, like being near a helicopter. But yeah, like aesthetic can only take you so far. Like, I think overall he's cooler than Jiren, but even then, I do think Jiren, he had more time for me to, like, try and pull something out of his character that I thought was really cool. But yeah, this really, he felt like a filler villain in all honesty. Cell Max did feel like just sort of like a non-canon, we're doing Cell again, but not really. It feels a little Dragon Ball, Heroes. But yeah, I don't want to end this on, like, a down note. So I will say, like, whatever the hell, first of all, Giant Piccolo, really good. I think he should have done it way earlier, though. Because, yeah, by the time, like, the movie has such great aesthetics that if they were fighting, like, like, in the, like, properly, fully built area before it reduced to rubble, I think that would have looked really cool. Or, like, if they were playing more with the environment, like, Piccolo does, like, one or two things with the environment, but it's not very much. It doesn't feel like a kaiju fight. It basically, like, some shots, it just looks like they're normal-sized. It's not super great on that aspect. And, like, the direction of the movie is so good that I really wish they had, like, been able to sell their weight and their, like, slowness and their, like, or not their slowness necessarily, because they are both, like, really damn fast. But, I wish it was more like in, like, the rebuilds for Evangelion. Like, those, I think, even when there's not a lot of, like, environmental stuff around, Evas feel gigantic. That's a really high bar to put this movie, but the movie excelled at everything else it tried to do. So I do feel like that's, I think that's justified. But yeah, that's basically it. We really don't have anything to go off of in terms of, like, what the hell is this form? What is this? What did Gohan do? Like, there's already the inherent, like, it feels weird for Gohan to have a power-up beyond, like, his, like, potential awakened form, because that should be everything, but I think the series has done a really strong point, like, Super has, I should say, of pointing out, like, there is no upper limit to anyone. Like, like, Goku's whole thing is being a limit breaker. Everyone has a limit that they can then break. Like, I fully believe that, like, all of Gohan's, like, potential may already be awoken, but, he can still increase that potential. He can still go beyond. But yeah, it's hard to just tell, like, what's this form is supposed to, like, how do I put it? Like, the aura, like, the way it's kind of pearlescent here, it's vaguely reminiscent of Ultra Instinct, but not really. Same with the hair. The hair I thought of as being an immediate, like, oh, is this Ultra Instinct? But it doesn't feel like it, really. And the red electricity is also unique. Like, yeah, it just has this, like, very ominous vibe to it. And, like, it's clearly awoken through anger. It's just, I just wanted a little more there. I just want, like, even if the characters just speculated on what they thought it was, or if someone meant, like, if, like, Piccolo can sense God Key and he mentions, like, oh, that's God Key, that's all I would need. Just, like, a little something to, like, put this in context. Yeah, I'm hoping the manga does that a little bit, actually. But yeah, apart from that, like, it's badass. The final fight is very cool looking. Very happy with like everyone's roles in the movie. Very happy with like the comedy we've dealt with throughout the movie. Very, very excited to see whatever we do next. Also, really, how do I put it? Really hoping that we don't cover this again when the manga, or like when Super comes back as an anime series. Not because it's bad. Like, honestly, for the opposite reason of, like, in the same way that the manga did not cover Broly, because it was just like, no, Broly's too good. Like, Broly's really good. We're gonna just move on to another arc. I kind of wish they did that with this arc, but I can also understand why they wouldn't. A, to, like, capitalize on it, like, while people are still talking about it, while they're very interested in it. Also, like, being able to, like, flesh it out more over the course of, like, probably a year or so, like, monthly, as opposed to one movie. And, like, a pretty short movie at that. Like, I'm very glad it was, like, an hour and a half, and it didn't, like, overstay its welcome. Plus, to be fair, like, there's so much in here that, like, once they expand on it a little bit, I would love to, see all these characters back. I would love to, like, see whatever the hell Toritaro and Toriyama have cooking for the arc after this. But yeah, like, when Super comes back, I would be very happy if we just, we started off with the Moro arc, then we, jumped to Granola, and then we kind of just skipped this. Or, like, if we have to, I guess we could, like, reanimate it. Part of why the movie arcs weren't great in the anime before was also that they had no lead time. So I'm hoping they also just, they have, like, 12 episodes ready by the time they, are ready to start doing the anime. I hope it doesn't get crunched. Because, yeah, this movie just, it is a tribute to how incredibly good Dragon Ball can be. Like, I have my complaints, but they're minuscule compared to how much I really, really, really enjoyed the movie. I want to make that clear, just in case, like, some of this came off as feeling a bit whiny or a bit, like, annoyed or a bit nitpicky. I adore this movie. Also, I just realized, we didn't see, like, they did properly do the fusion dance. We saw the fingers connect, right? Yes, that is correct. So they did transform. We didn't get to see it, though. It was just like a little hint of, like, oh, they did do it. They can still do it. But yeah, that's that. I've been going on for way too long. Holy crap. This was supposed to be just be like, 15 minutes of me going over it, but that's that. Thank you so much for checking out the reaction. I had a blast with it. Down below, I should have some way for you to watch the Dragon Ball Super reactions. If I don't already, I might have to make a playlist. They might be publicly viewable if I do that. We'll see. We'll see. Hopefully Toei does not destroy me for my reactions. I would like that to not happen, please and thank you. But I can't hide it. I've been enjoying Super so much. Like, the anime, I adore. Basically from the moments Goku did Super Saiyan Kaioken, or Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken. Like, before that, it was still really good. It was still fun, but after that moment, I feel like the anime was on fire. The manga has basically been on fire since it started. It is fantastic. Super has really reignited my love for Dragon Ball overall. And, like, this movie feels like a worthy place to end for a while. There is, of course, the webcomic Dragon Ball Multiverse. I'll probably do that at some point. I did some of it, like, a long time ago. But yeah, apart from that, not a whole lot of Dragon Ball things to do, so it's the end of a bit of an era for the channel, the big Dragon Ball catch-up. Thank you so much for being with me on this journey. Let me know what you thought about the movie. What did you like? What did you not like? Until next time, until next reaction, I will catch you guys later. Bye for now. Yeah.